Picture this. It is 11:30 p.m. The house is completely quiet. You are lying in bed, wrapped in a blanket at the exact optimal temperature. Your heart rate is steadily dropping. Your breathing has slowed to a rhythmic, peaceful crawl. You are drifting blissfully into the first stages of deep, restorative REM sleep. And then, without warning, your brain violently kicks open the door to its own internal filing cabinet and pulls out a heavily redacted folder labeled 2018. It forces you to watch a crystal-clear, 4K resolution replay of the time you enthusiastically waved back at someone who was actually waving to the person standing directly behind you. Instantly, your peaceful sleep is completely destroyed. A surge of adrenaline floods your system. Your stomach drops. You physically wince in the dark, tightly squeezing your eyes shut as if you can somehow block out a video that is playing entirely inside your own skull. You might even let out a small, involuntary groan, or suddenly whisper a completely random word out loud into the darkness, like applesauce, just to try and drown out the audio of your own memory. You are a rational, functioning adult. Yet you are being held emotionally hostage by an event that happened half a decade ago, witnessed by a stranger you will never see again. Welcome to the agonizing phenomenon of the Midnight Cringe Attack. Why does the most sophisticated biological supercomputer in the known universe do this? Why does the human brain, which is capable of learning complex quantum physics and rendering beautiful, abstract dreams, possess a completely undeletable folder dedicated exclusively to your most humiliating social failures? To understand this glitch, we have to look away from modern psychology and instead look back 200,000 years to the evolutionary mechanics of the cringe response. Imagine your prehistoric ancestors living in a small, tight-knit tribe of about 40 to 50 people. In a hunter-gatherer society, your entire existence depended on the group. You needed the tribe to help hunt for food, maintain the fire, and fight off predators. If you did something to anger the group, or if you consistently broke the unspoken social rules of the tribe, you were at a very real risk of being ostracized. And in the Paleolithic era, being kicked out of the tribe didn't mean you just had to go find new friends. It meant you were going to freeze to death or get eaten by a dire wolf in a matter of days. Social cohesion was not a luxury. It was a literal biological matter of life and death. Because of this extreme environmental pressure, the human brain had to develop a highly aggressive security system to ensure you didn't do anything stupid enough to get yourself exiled. Think about how the brain handles physical danger. If you touch a burning hot stove, your nervous system sends a blinding shock of physical pain through your hand. This pain is a biological teaching tool. It is your brain screaming, "Do not ever do that again or you will die." The cringe response is the exact same evolutionary mechanism, just applied to social survival. When you make a social error, your brain hits you with a massive dose of psychological pain. It floods your system with cortisol and forces you to feel intense embarrassment, so that you will imprint that failure deep into your neural pathways and never, ever repeat the mistake. The problem is, our biological software has not received an update in 200,000 years, but our environment has changed completely. We still have the exact same hypersensitive, dire wolf-avoiding social alarm system, but we live in a world where the stakes are virtually zero. When you were in the 4th grade and you accidentally called your teacher, "Mom," you were not in danger of being exiled to the wilderness to starve. It was just a minor conversational glitch. But your brain doesn't know the difference. It processes that moment of awkwardness with the exact same level of catastrophic biological alarm, as if you had accidentally set the village food supply on fire. But this still doesn't explain the timing. Why do these memories always ambush us right as we are trying to fall asleep? Why doesn't your brain remind you of your failures at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday? This comes down to how the brain manages data processing, specifically through a system called the default mode network. During the day, your brain is incredibly busy. You are answering emails, driving a car, looking at your phone, and processing thousands of visual and auditory inputs. Your brain is fully occupied, rendering the reality in front of you. But when you lie down in bed, turn off the lights and close your eyes, all of those external data inputs drop to zero. The processor suddenly has an abundance of free memory. So what does it do with this free time? It runs a background diagnostic check. It fires up the default mode network and starts scanning through your recent and long-term storage, looking for unresolved anomalies. It is essentially sweeping your hard drive for viruses. And unfortunately, the brain classifies unresolved social awkwardness as a highly critical error that requires your immediate attention. It finds the memory of you telling a movie theater employee, "You too," after they told you to enjoy the film, and it pulls it up on the main screen, pausing your sleep cycle to demand that you review the footage and figure out how to avoid doing it again. When this happens, humans almost universally deploy what we can call the autonomic evasion tactic. This is that weird physical twitch you do in bed. You violently shake your head, you hum a random tune, or you physically roll over to the other side of the mattress. You are literally trying to physically dodge a thought. It is your brain's desperate attempt to manually override the default mode network by forcing a physical action to distract the processor. But the ultimate irony of the Midnight Cringe Attack, the one absolute mathematical truth that should instantly cure you of this anxiety, is the concept known as the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is a cognitive bias where we falsely assume that everyone around us is paying close attention to our actions. When you trip up the stairs in public, you assume the entire building saw it, analyzed it, and committed it to memory. You assume you are the main character of reality, and everyone else is an audience member judging your performance. The brutally honest truth is that nobody cares about you. That person you waved at by mistake 5 years ago, they do not remember it. The cashier you accidentally handed a library card to instead of a credit card. They forgot about you the exact second you walked out the door. Your brain is hoarding these terrifying, humiliating memories in a high-security vault, completely unaware that the other person deleted the file instantly. Why did they delete it? Because they are the main character of their own reality. They do not have the processing power to remember your awkward moments, because their brain is too busy holding them hostage at 2:00 a.m., forcing them to painfully remember the time they went in for a fist bump while the other person was going in for a handshake. Every single human being on Earth is walking around carrying a massive, invisible backpack full of their own cringe, completely oblivious to everyone else's. In a weird, paradoxical way, the fact that you cringe at your past self is actually a data point of success. If you look back at something you did 5 years ago and you don't cringe, it means you haven't grown at all. You are still the exact same software version you were back then. Cringing is just the painful, biological growing pains of leveling up your social intelligence. So the next time you are lying in bed and your brain tries to attack you with a memory of a terrible joke you made at a party, don't fight it. Don't wince. Don't whisper a random word to the ceiling. Just scientifically acknowledge it. Tell your brain, "Thank you for the survival update, but there are no saber-toothed tigers here." Roll over and go to sleep.